A frustration for me. I'm a strange bod. If we don't do so well, I always pick the good bits out of it, and if we do well, I know what you mean. And everyone gets all excited. I go the other way and think, hang on a minute, hang on. And I'm viewing us as potential winners. So I'm thinking, some of the good things. Let's start with the good things, shall we? The clinical nature of our finishing was magnificent.
Agreed.
How the 3 goals we got, the passing for the 3 goals, the clinical finishing, magnificent. The counter-attack threat, brilliant, fantastic. I think we saw off a really average Senegal side. I was expecting a lot better from them. Now, whether that was us being particularly good or them being particularly bad, make your own judgment up. A couple of things that I think we got to brush up on and was a real frustration for me yesterday. We didn't play out from the back particularly well, and Gareth touched on it after the game in his flash interview. You know, we've got 2 centre-halves and Declan with a safety net of Pickford. So if you're in trouble, go back to Pickford, start again. It's basically 4v2 in that area of the pitch. And we really, really struggled to get out. And on the odd occasion we did get out, and Maguire got the ball and then surged. Their right midfield players got to engage him, and that leaves Luke Shaw, Foden and Bellingham all on that line. And you talk about overloads in football. That's the overload. That's what we should have done regularly. Pass it, out to Maguire. He's free, drives up. All of a sudden you ask questions, and it's a chain of events then. They've got to come to us, you nip it past him, next one comes, then you're in behind them. We didn't do that. And I don't think we pressed particularly well. I see Jordan Henderson go with real intensity going after people, and Koulibaly gets under panic, slicing the ball out and giving it away, and the goalkeeper's not great with his feet. But Jordan was going in isolation too much, and I saw Mount do it in isolation. I'd like to see us as a team do it more collectively.
Yeah, but that's good though. I think probably the reason you do that, Stu, is because you're a professional, so you know about balance, right? So don't get too high with the highs and don't get too low with the lows. But I will push you to pick out some great moments. I wondered what your thoughts were with Jude Bellingham in particular. Yeah,
listen, magnificent. Every time you say superlatives about him, you go back to that statement that Ali just threw at me there. 19. We look at each other. We're 2 gnarly old fellas, you know what I mean? You think, 19 years old, I couldn't wipe my own nose at that age, you know? I was still wiring houses at 19, and this kid is setting the world alight at the biggest stage. It's fantastic. He's one of these people, when you turn up at the stadium at 19 years old, you know, he's in the team and playing.
I just cannot believe the maturity he shows, you know, but in general play. We spoke earlier on, he obviously interviews really well and he sounds good, but to have that level of maturity in his play is remarkable.
I watched the post-match interviews, and I watched Phil Foden, who is a baby himself, talk about Jude Bellingham as if he was 10 years older than him. And I looked at the two of them and thought, my goodness, they're both babies. And then I watched Jude Bellingham speak about Jordan Henderson. And one thing that he brought up in his interview, because you can see those two have a brilliant connection, right? Not just in footballing terms, but personalities. There's a real connection between the two of those. And he said, look, Jordan Henderson needs to get more respect. He said, I've seen a lot of the criticism and I don't understand it. I love the way these lot are gelling. We talk about that a lot, but I wondered what you thought about the disrespect that Jude is talking about towards Jordan Henderson.
I've never understood it, Laura, to be fair. This kid was my under-21 captain back in 2011, I think it was, and I saw the leadership. Probably the biggest thing, and I spoke with Henry about it yesterday, I was fortunate enough to be at West Ham when the COVID situation, and there's no one in the stadium. So you could sit in there as a coach and hear every word that's going on the pitch. And Jordan Henderson was out there when we played Liverpool. He's cajoling people, he's coaching them, he's leading them, and this is him playing for Liverpool. And I'm sat there as West Ham coach thinking, wowee, you know what I mean? This kid is something different, you know. And he's a team player, and he does all the dirty things. And I think we continually in football, or football fans do, I'd say. Football people probably don't. Football fans turn around and say, what's he doing in the team? Because he's not pretty and he doesn't, he's not got the technical skills of maybe Grealish, and we want Grealish in and we want Maddison in and we want this in. you need a Jordan Henderson. Honestly, you do in every team and what he does, because we as football people know the importance of Jordan Henderson, that knits it together both on and off the football pitch, and what he does and how he drives training, and every day he'll be on the money and driving your training sessions. As when I worked with him, he did it for me. You know what I mean? It's incredible.
We're discussing the England team before the Senegal game, right? And everybody's, we've all got different teams, and generally speaking, a lot of the guys that I spoke to were wanting to bring Foden in, play him in number 10, play with two holders, that play with Rice and Bellingham. And I'm sitting saying to myself, there's no way. And I just didn't think for a minute Gareth would do it, because I don't know what it is about Jordan Henderson that people don't see it. Do you know what I mean? I think it's glaringly obvious. You talk about players and they go, that he's a player's player. He does a lot of his stuff, and it's only there's only players that appreciate it. But that's not the case with someone like Jordan Henderson, because it's clearly, if you watch him, you can see his value to the team. And I thought he was an absolute certainty to start. And I think now a lot of the England supporters are realising that he's an integral part of the team.
Without a doubt. I was one of those, I've got to say, I weren't sure whether Jordan would start or not, to be honest with you.
I thought he would.
Yeah, because I had it in my head from previous game. I weren't sure whether Jude was better in a more deep line role. I think he would have certainly helped Declan get on the ball a little bit more and play forward, that is for sure. And I weren't sure how good he was playing further up with his back to goal a little bit more. So I thought to myself, well, if you're going to drop him back, and you think, I'm coaching myself here, and you want to drop Bellingham back to be slightly deeper to come on to things, then is Mount a better version of that than Jordan? But listen, Gareth picked the team, and I think he's nailed it every time. That'd be my opinion.
I've got some quick fire questions for you. Okay, throwing it forward now to France.
Yes.
Saturday night, 7 o'clock, talkSPORT. Do you keep the same formation?
I would. I've not had a good look at France. I only covered them once at this moment in time. I would probably, and we've done this at West Ham, utilising Deck. I'd probably play Deck on. I'd probably play two holders rather than a one with two.
Yeah, so flip it.
Yeah, flip it in that way, and I'd play Deck on the side of Mbappe. So keep a 4, play Deck on the side of Mbappe. So if there's a problem down that side, Declan comes across and helps deal and helps double up with Walker. Yeah. That would be how I would deal with that situation. It's not restricting the player who plays alongside Deck, because in possession, Deck comes there, and whether it be Jude or whether it be, they push on, and all of a sudden you've got those two central midfield players going forward.